What's going on, YouTube? We're back with another video. This one's going to be AFC playoff seedings. Did NFC earlier today. We'll be doing my playoff predictions and team awards right after this, so be on the lookout. Let's get into it. So for my seventh, I went with the Chargers. It's kind of a toss-up between them and the Broncos. Broncos have a much easier schedule, but I think the Chargers are just a little bit better. I think they have a much better quarterback. So they have to go through, outside their division, the AFC North and the NFC East. AFC North, that's going to be tough. I think they should be able to split it and maybe get 3-1. That might be pushing it, but I think that they can take care of hopefully the Steelers and the Bengals, and then Ravens and Browns will be tough, but I think that they should be able to win one of those games against the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns, and then that'll be good enough. I think the NFC East will be a bit easier. I think that they can go 3-1 there. And then their other three are the Vikings, Texans, and the Patriots. I think that they could go 2-1. I think they'll beat the Texans, and they just have to win one of those games between the Vikings and the Patriots. I really like Justin Herbert. I like Keenan Allen. I like Austin Eckler. I think their defense was limited a bit last year with Joey Bosa, Derwin James being out. And then also they were limited a little bit by coaching. I think Brandon Staley will really make that defense play at what it's expected to play if everyone's healthy. And then also their O-line got a lot better too. The whole team is just trending upward. They brought in Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, and so Justin Herbert continued to improve. Big on the Chargers. Tough to pick between them and the Broncos, but I went with them. 6 seed, I went with the Ravens. I do believe that the Ravens are just as good as the Browns. The only reason I didn't put them higher than the Browns is just that their schedule is just so tough. Second toughest schedule. Still are questioning Lamar's passing ability. I think that last year was the year, if Lamar was going to regress a lot, it would have been last year. Because teams really game planned against him after his MVP season. And he still looked pretty good last year, and I think he'll have a similar season this year. And then that defense is just still one of the best. Pretty underrated. Little one-dimensional, but it works. They got one of the best secondaries, best cornerback room for sure. Hopefully, when Rashad Bateman's healthy, he works out. It's a bummer what happened to J.K. Dobbins, but they did bring in Le'Veon Bell. I don't know if he'll be the answer, but maybe him being back in the AFC North will motivate him a little bit. But yeah, their schedule is just so tough. They got to go through the NFC North, AFC West. I think that they'll probably split all 8 of those games, maybe 5-3. Packers will be tough. Chiefs will be tough. Chargers, I think they should be favored to win, but I don't know. And then I think they could lose to any of the other teams, maybe 2 out of the other 5 that are left. Lions, Bears, Vikings, Broncos, Raiders. I think that they'll probably lose 2 of those games. I think that what really makes their schedule tough is the other 3 games they have, which are the Colts, Dolphins, and Rams, which are all pretty solid teams. Not Not betting on them to beat the Rams for sure. Colts and Dolphins, kind of a toss-up. They'll probably be favored slightly to beat those, but I don't think they'll win both of them. I think the Dolphins. I'm not too big on the Dolphins, mainly because Tua. So I think that they should have a much better chance beating the Dolphins than the Colts. But I just think that the Browns are going to have a tiebreaker over them. And I think the Browns also will probably split games with them this year. I know they were swept by them last year. And I think that they'll probably have a similar division record as the Browns. But then the Browns will just have an AFC tiebreaker or just have a better record. And so that's why I had to move the Ravens down a bit. So for the fifth seed, I went with the Patriots. I think that they went heavy this offseason, and then they also have a lot of guys returning that opted out last year. I think that defense is going to be looking good. The offensive line looks really good. They could use any running back, make them look good. Although I do like Damian Harris. Maybe it's just that the O-line's so good, but they didn't use him a whole lot in preseason, but every guy rushing looked good. I think Mac Jones is an upgrade from Cam. I do think he's a little less limited. A better arm for sure. And I think that just Belichick and just coaching, they're going to be able to win some games solely off that. And they have to go through the NFC South and AFC South. Two easier divisions in my opinion. NFC South, it used to be the powerhouse division. But now the Saints and the Panthers and the Falcons aren't what they were 5 years ago. I think they should be able to win all those games. And then Bucks are the powerhouse of the division. Don't think they'll win that one. And then I think the AFC South is the worst division. I think that the Jaguars and Texans are gimmies. And then Colts are a little iffy. Titans are pretty solid, but I think that they're beatable. But I think they could maybe go I think they'll go 3-1 probably in the AFC South as well. And then their other out of division games are the Cowboys, Chargers, and Browns. The floor is that they win one of them. Ceiling 2. I think they'll be able to beat the Cowboys just solely off coaching, and I think that Cowboys defense is still not very good. I think their line they'll be able to run it all over them. And Chargers, Browns, both kind of new coaches. I think Belichick will be able to win one of those just by out-coaching one of the other coaches, Staley or Stefanski. The Browns definitely have a better roster than the Patriots, but the Chargers do not. Both rosters are pretty evenly matched there. As much as I like Staley, I think the Patriots might be able to win that. And then in division, I think that they'll have a pretty good record. I think that they're tired of the Dolphins getting fluke wins against them. They'll take care of the Jets easily. Maybe squeeze one by Buffalo. Definitely not 2. More than likely go 0-2. Maybe they win one in Foxborough, but not really expecting them to. But I think that they'll go 4-2. Probably 4-2. Maybe 3-3. But I think that them taking advantage of all those other games will get them high enough to be the 5th seed. So coming in at number 4 and winning the AFC South, I went with the Titans. Our run game's still very scary. Bringing in Julio, bringing in Bud Dupree. cornerback room looking a little different. Corey Davis left. Don't think it's a huge deal. But, yeah, Arthur Smith gone as well. But I think that the new OC, if you got Julio and Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown to work with, pretty underrated O-line as well. I think it'd be pretty hard to mess that up. Just a smarter team. I like Mike Vrabel a lot. Better roster. Maybe not better roster than the Colts. Easily better than the Texans and the Jaguars. They have 4 games to beat up on those guys. Probably split the series with the Colts, go 5-1. Their other games are AFC East, NFC West, which is pretty tough. I think that they'll go over 500 in the AFC East. Probably lose to Buffalo. I think they should be able to beat the other 3, more than likely. Patriots will be tough, but I think they should be able to do it. Dolphins and the Jets. I'm kind of a little down on the Dolphins. I think it's mostly because I'm not a big Tua guy. But unless Tua really gets comfortable, I think the Titans should be able to win that. They definitely have the better team. And yeah, the Jets, that's an easy one. NFC West, though, that's where it's gonna be tough. I think that they would be lucky to go 2-2. Looking more at 1-3. It's probably the more likely outcome. But even that is fine, since I believe they're going to go 5-1 in the division. And then everybody else has to go through the NFC West gauntlet too. So I think they have the best chance to win. I think they have the best chance to go 2-2 in the NFC West, unless Carson Wentz looks really good and somehow the Colts just win 2 out of those games in the NFC West, which would, I don't think anybody's betting on that. Their other 3 games, got the Steelers, the Saints, and the Chiefs. And those are all pretty tough. I think the Saints are a little underrated. Steelers, they got all that front 7 coming back other than Bud Dupree. So I think the Steelers will be a tough matchup for them just because their defense, if healthy, is really good. Might be able to stop Derrick Henry. Well, they might go 1-2 against those 3. They'll for sure beat the Saints, probably lose to the Chiefs, and I think that they should be able to beat the Steelers. But we will see how the Steelers look. I personally am not that big on the Steelers this year, but I do think that going 5-1 in the division and going 3-1 more than likely in the AFC East will be enough to win the division. 3rd seed taking home the AFC North crown. I got the Browns. As I said earlier, I think that it's kind of a toss-up between them and the Ravens, but their schedule is just a little bit easier. They have to play the 2 same divisions, but the Ravens have the Colts, Dolphins, and Rams, and then their 3 games that they have are the Patriots, Cardinals, and Texans, which is a little bit easier. They don't have the Rams, and then the Texans are a gimme, as I said earlier. I think they'll go through the NFC North pretty easily, kind of like the Ravens, maybe lose to the Packers, beat everybody else. And then the AFC West, I think that they should be able to go 3-1 too. Their loss being most likely the Chiefs. I think that the Chargers could maybe beat them, but I personally would take the Browns over the Chargers. And then those other 3, Patriots, Cardinals, Texans. I think that they can win all those games, honestly, but I would be safe and bet that they will go 2-1 there. And then in division, I think they should be able to go 4-2. Think that they'll sweep the Bengals, maybe split with the Ravens and Steelers. That'd probably be what I'm betting on. But they just have such a good roster. Running game just looks so good. That offensive line is just so talented. They made a lot of offseason changes on defense. They traded up for Jeremiah Owusu-Marakoa. They picked up Troy Hill and John Johnson III. So I do think their defense is going to look a lot better this year. I don't think they'll have the shootouts that they were having last year. Also brought in Clowney. Thought that was kind of an interesting move, but I think they're really going all in. Baker's on a contract year, so maybe he'll play with... I mean, he should have all the motivation regardless with the team he has, but some people think that he has a weird attitude or that he doesn't play as hard, but I don't see that. But maybe he'll have an extra chip on his shoulder this year for that contract. One of the best rosters, might be the second best roster after the Bucks, but hopefully they can pull it all together. I'm having them take home the division in arguably the second best division too. So for my second seed and taking home the AFC East title, I went with the Bills. I really wanted to take them first, but I think that would be too much of a hot take for this channel. But second's still pretty good. You got Josh Allen coming off a MVP season. Hopefully he can keep it up. Running game is a big question. Didn't really do much in the draft offseason for it, but maybe they're still believing in their guys. But yeah, offense looks good. Defense really good. Leslie Frazier is good D coordinator. Got a lot of talent. Picked up some edge guys too. So I know that was a big problem for them last year, was quarterback pressure. But yeah, great secondary. As for schedule goes, it's one of the easier ones. They got to go through the NFC South and the AFC South, which are two of the weaker divisions in my opinion. As I mentioned, Jaguars, Texans are a cakewalk. Don't think the NFC South is too scary other than the Bucks. But one of those three could be very sneaky. I think that it's going to be the Saints. Could be the Panthers or the Falcons. They're both quickly rebuilding, and then they've got some talent now on both those rosters. But I think it's a little too early. I think the Bills definitely will win all three of those games. Bucks-Bills should be exciting. I think the Bucks will probably win that one, but I think it's kind of a toss-up. I think that they should be able to go probably 6-2. I think that they will lose one of those games in between the Colts and the Titans. They could definitely easily win both of those, but I think they'll lose one of those, and I think that they'll probably lose to the Bucks. And then in conference or in their division, I think they should be able to go 5-1. Maybe lose to the Dolphins or the Patriots. For sure sweep the Jets. But I think that they'll most likely sweep two of those teams and then split one of those teams. Split one of those series between the Dolphins and the Patriots. And yeah, so they'll go 5-1. Their other 3 games are the Steelers, Chiefs, and Washington. So it is kind of tough how they have to play the Chiefs and the Bucks. Maybe they'll win one of them. I think they'll be able to beat the Steelers and Washington. Both really good defenses. Both will be good tests. But I don't see either of those offenses really getting it going like I do for the Chiefs. So I think they should be able to go 2-1 there, with them most likely losing to the Chiefs. And so that will bring them to 14-3 total. I think that 14-3 seems pretty reasonable, and I think that the Chiefs might also be 14-3, but I think they'll beat the Bills and have the tiebreaker. And yeah, spoiler, it's my number 1. It's the Chiefs. 11th, tied strength of schedule. Very, very easy to pick them as the first seed, but I like their offseason moves. Really prioritizing protecting Patrick Mahomes, since that was the main reason they lost to the Bucks. They got Joe Thuney, got Orlando Brown, let Eric Fisher walk, but I think Orlando Brown Jr. is an upgrade. So I think that they should be able to sweep their division. Maybe 5-1. I think 5-1 is their floor, surprisingly enough. And it kind of could be to anybody. But I think, if I had to guess, I honestly think that unless Chargers are being coached really well, really getting into the groove of things quick, I think that I would be betting, if I were to pick one team to split the series in their division, it would probably be the Broncos. Just because I think their defense would be a good test for that new O-line. But I think that they'll sweep their division if I had to make a bet. 5-1 floor. And then they got to go through the AFC North and the NFC East. So it's a little tough. I think that they'll be able to go 3-1 in the AFC North. Probably lose one game to either the Browns or the Ravens. So 3-1 there. NFC East, I think that's a pretty easy sweep for them as well. Maybe the Cowboys have something to say, or the Washington football team, but I think 90% of people would pick them to beat both those. Their last 3 games are pretty tough, though. They got the Packers, Titans, and Bills. I think that the easiest one by far would be the Titans, which is saying something. Bills, Packers, this could be toss-ups, and that's kind of why I was going back and forth, putting Bills and Chiefs first or second, just because that Packer game could be one to flip them over to second if they lose that. But I personally think that they should be able to win either one against the Packers and the Bills. If they beat I do think they'll beat the Bills, just because that's kind of been the trend. I don't think much will change. I don't think the Bills' defensive line is going to be good enough to really get after Patrick Mahomes. And I still think Patrick Mahomes is a little better than Josh Allen. I just think that the Chiefs got to be favored to win that game. So I think they'll probably go 2-1, maybe lose the Packers, maybe beat them. I think they'll be 14-3, 15-2, and they'll easily win the AFC West. So, got a few honorable mentions. The Dolphins, they got a pretty good defense. They got talent, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, playmaking defense. Got a lot of turnovers last year. I'm just worried about the offense. Like Brian Flores a lot too, but I'm just not sold on Tua just yet. Didn't look too good. Didn't look very comfortable. They chose not to go O-line, which I guess they don't have a lot of receivers either that are too good. Jalen Waddle, hopefully him and Tua reconnect. Not the biggest Myles Gaskin guy either. Just not really a lot I like about the Dolphins. I think that they should be 9-8, maybe 10-7, but probably not. Going against the NFC South, AFC South, pretty easy schedule. They're 27th, as I said, so they might come in with a pretty good record. I just think that Patriots, they'll be able to. They're playing against the same teams, and I trust the Patriots a little more than the Dolphins, mainly because their defense a little bit better. Offense is probably better too, and then coaching is better as well. And I think they'll be able to take advantage of both those divisions as well as their own more than the Dolphins. So, Dolphins' other 3 games are the Raiders, Giants, and the Ravens. Should be able to go 2-1 there. Maybe the Giants or the Raiders can sneak one past them. Don't see them beating the Ravens. I think that they probably will be 9-8 or 10-7, but I just don't think that'll cut it. And then same thing goes for the Broncos. I think that division's just a little too tough. Defense is still pretty good. I'm not a big fan of their offense. I think I do like Teddy more than Drew Lock, but he's not gonna suddenly make their offense really good. Hopefully Cortland Sutton can get back to where he was before he got injured. Like Jerry Jeudy, like Noah Fant, like Javonte Williams. They've got a lot of good tools. I just think they need that guy at quarterback, and that's what they're missing. And then defense is going to be good. It's always been good for a while. I think that there's no way the Broncos are going to be better than the Chiefs and the Chargers. I just think they have good quarterbacks, which in this league, that's the most important thing by far. And then the rest of their roster is not too far off. I mean, the Chiefs have a great roster, but the Broncos have a better defense than the Chargers, probably even the Chiefs. But I just think that being limited at quarterback just hurts them a lot. Pretty easy schedule, though. They got the AFC North, NFC East. AFC North is tough. Probably split that, maybe 1-3. Splitting that division is probably their ceiling, but yeah, either 2-2, 1-3 there. Then they got the NFC East. Probably split that too. Don't really think they're any better or should be favored against Washington and Dallas. They're kind of a similar team to the Giants, although I do think they're better on offense. And probably defense too. But that Giants defense is sneaky good. I think that could be an interesting game, but I think the Broncos will win that, as well as the Eagles. Not very high on the Eagles. And then their other 3 games are pretty easy. It's the Jaguars, Lions, and the Jets. So, like, the 3 easiest teams to beat, in my opinion. I think they should be able to sweep all those, which is one of the main reasons I was tempted to put them as a 7th seed. But I just think the division's a little too much. I think there's a good chance that they go 2-4 or 3-3 in division, which would be very hard to make the playoffs, especially a tiebreaker. going under 500 in division. I also put the Colts on here. Just kind of concerned about Wentz's health. Quentin Nelson apparently coming back. Everybody thought they were going to be out for like September or first couple weeks, but now it's saying that they are questionable for week 1, so they could be back before most expected. Still, I'm not really sold on Carson Wentz. But yeah, the whole roster is so good though, and I like Frank Reich a lot too. Yeah, defense, very talented, very stacked. Darius Leonard, they got very good interior defensive linemen. Brought in Kwity Paye, he could be a star. Talent's there for sure. Brought in Eric Fisher as well from the Chiefs. Chiefs didn't bring him back. So they got the AFC East and the NFC West, which I think the AFC East, I think that they'll probably split those as their ceiling. Could go 1-3. I don't think that they'll be able to beat the Patriots and the Bills, though. And then NFC West, I think they could get swept, honestly, 1-3. I think the Titans have a better chance of splitting those games evenly than the Colts do. And then their other 3 games are the Ravens, Bucks, and the Raiders, which is really tough. Ravens and Bucks, I don't think they're gonna win those. That's kind of what makes them fall behind. I think whoever has a better division record, better conference record, is gonna be the winner of the AFC South. The Colts have to go against Ravens, Bucks, and Raiders, and then the Titans have to go against Steelers, Saints, and Chiefs. So they both have really tough schedules outside of the other divisions they have to play, which one of them is the NFC West, which is really tough. So I think that whoever finishes second in the division will make the playoffs. And then Steelers' strength of schedule just really got to them this year. I don't trust that offensive line. Don't trust Big Ben. I do think they have pretty good skill position players. I like their receiver core. I like Najee Harris. I like the defense a lot. I just don't think they can get past the schedule. 9-8 ceiling for me. Don't think that they'll even do that. And if they do that, I don't think they're going to make it. Defense, really good. Big Mike Tomlin guy. I think he hasn't had a losing record in like 18 seasons or something. I heard some crazy stat that he hasn't had a losing record, and analysts are saying that this is the first year he could have a losing record in some time. So yeah, AFC North already going to be tough to get through. Think that their ceiling is 3-3, could be worse. Probably 3-3 though is what I would guess they'd go, just because they know all those other teams well enough to split one of those against the Ravens and Browns, and then more than likely beat the Bengals both times. I know that they kind of got their butts kicked by the Bengals last year, but I don't see it happening. There are other divisions that they had to play. It's the NFC North, AFC West. Not really cakewalks at all. I think that Chiefs, Chargers, pretty tough teams. I think that the Broncos or the Raiders could maybe sneak in a win. NFC North, I think they'll lose to the Packers. I think that Vikings or Bears also could sneak in a win. And so, yeah, you're looking at 500, both those divisions, in my opinion. And then their other 3 games are extremely tough. It's the Seahawks, Titans, and the Bills, which I think they could easily lose all 3 of those. Maybe they win one, go 1-2. But yeah, I think that they're probably looking at around 8-9, 9-8. But yeah, the Steelers they're a good team. They just really got a tough schedule. I think Big Ben is. Hopefully, this is his last year. I think that either they're gonna get somebody, maybe have Dwayne Haskins take over. But yeah, Big Ben just did not look good at the end of last year. Playoff game against the Browns was brutal. So, unless he turns it around, I do not have any hopes for the Steelers to make the playoffs. So that'll be it for this video. I'll do my playoff predictions also tonight. Probably come out sometime before tomorrow's game. And then I'll also do player awards for the season, and then over-under for teams' total season wins. Also before the game tomorrow, so be on the lookout. So, as always, leave a like, comment if you disagree, agree. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.